The Las Vegas Raiders never fail to keep us on our toes when it comes to the draft. Whether it's a big surprise or an unexpected pick, you just never know what they'll do next. Today, we're diving into the top 5 players who could completely shock the NFL world if the Raiders pick them with the number 6 overall selection. Let's dive into the list, starting from number 5 and working our way to number 1. Trust me, number 1 would be a massive surprise, and I'm sure it'll have you talking. But for now, let's start off with a big shocker. I'm putting Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado, on this list. Now, I know some of you might be surprised by this one, but hear me out. I'd be really shocked if the Raiders took Sanders at number 6. Here's why. The Raiders just traded for Geno, and that clearly shows they want to win right now. Picking a quarterback who would sit behind Geno for a few years doesn't quite make sense for a team focused on the present. That said, Shedeur is an accurate quarterback who keeps improving, and he's got a mentally tough mindset. But there are some concerns about his character based on his pro day and the NFL Combine. I'm definitely excited to see how he performs at his pro day on April 4th. If he steps up his game, he could make a push for a top 10 pick. While Shedeur is currently ranked as the number 2 quarterback behind Cam Ward, some people even think Jackson Dart might be a better choice. I've spoken to a few NFL insiders who actually believe Tyler Shough might be a better fit than Shedeur. But here's the thing. Tom Brady has been mentoring him since 2020, and there's a lot of buzz about Shedeur's connection to the Raiders. Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father, has also made some waves with the Raiders, so the connection is there. Before we get into more of the latest news, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's get back to the next pick. Shedeur Sanders has been making waves in Las Vegas, and it's clear that there's a lot of buzz around him. He's not just any prospect, he's literally in Las Vegas all the time, and recently he and Geno were spotted hanging out in Miami. That kind of connection is hard to ignore. While it might be a surprise to some, Shedeur could definitely be in the Raiders' sights. Now, let's move on to number 4 on my list of surprising picks for the Raiders at number 6. Josh Simmons, an offensive lineman from Ohio State. I absolutely love this kid's tape. His footwork is incredibly quick, making him an elite pass blocker. That quickness would be a huge asset to the Raiders, especially for their wide receiver screens, something Chip Kelly loves to use. However, he does need to improve his run blocking. His pass protection is fantastic, but in the run game, he doesn't quite have the same confidence. Despite that, his effort and ability to block on the flat are impressive. There is one thing that concerns me: his injury. Josh Simmons suffered a major knee injury earlier in the season, which raised some doubts. But before that injury, many scouts considered him the best offensive tackle in college football, better than Will Campbell, better than Armanu. He even worked with the Raiders' OC, Chip Kelly, last year, which only strengthens his case. Simmons has a lot of versatility, having played both right and left tackle during his career. If the Raiders were to draft him, I could see them moving him to the left side and possibly convincing Kolton Miller to shift over to the right side, given that Miller's contract has 0 guaranteed money for next season. Improving the offensive line is a key focus for the Raiders, and while I like DJ Glaze, Simmons would bring a significant upgrade. The Raiders are all about improving every position this offseason, and Simmons could definitely help make that happen. Let's not revisit the past with picks like Alex Leatherwood or Damon Arnette. Instead, let's focus on realistic, exciting options for the Raiders at number 6. There are 3 names I'm about to mention that might shock some people, but I truly think there's a chance the Raiders could go in this direction, and I'd be thrilled if they did. First up, Armanu and Will Campbell. If you want to build a strong offensive line, these 2 players are definitely worth looking at. They're both elite in the trenches, and adding them to the Raiders roster would be a huge step forward for this team. Next, there's Jade A. Barron. Now, I know some might feel it's a bit of a reach to pick him at number 6. Personally, I'd be more comfortable seeing him picked somewhere in the 12th to 15th range. However, what makes him intriguing is his versatility. This guy is like a Swiss Army knife, and with the way Patrick Graham's defense is built and how John Spike likes to construct his teams, Barron could be a sneaky pick. His ability to do multiple things could make him a valuable asset for the Raiders, and at number 6, I wouldn't be completely shocked if they took a chance on him. Now, those are just a few of the surprise candidates I'm keeping an eye on for the Raiders. Stay tuned, because we've got more exciting possibilities to discuss as we get closer to the draft. Let's jump right into the surprise picks that could make an impact for the Raiders at number 6. First up, safety from Georgia, Malaki Starks. Now, taking a safety at number 6 might seem like a stretch, but let's look at what he brings to the table. Malaki is a true all-around safety. He can play close to the line of scrimmage or drop back into coverage. Versatile and intelligent, exactly what the Raiders need in their secondary. However, I do have some concerns. There are times when he bites on a play fake, and that leads to big plays over the top. But that could just be a product of playing in the SEC, where the competition is fierce. What makes this pick intriguing is that Malaki is scheduled for a top 30 visit with the Raiders. The team's biggest need on defense right now is at free safety, and Malaki Starks could very well be the answer. Now, moving on to number 2. Ohio State wide receiver, egbuka. The Raiders have been actively looking to add depth to their receiving core, and Egbuka could be the perfect fit. Watching him play, I'm reminded of Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's fluid, can run a complete route tree, and is exceptional at tracking down deep balls. His skills could translate well to the Raiders' offense, especially with Geno Smith's ability to excel in crucial third-down situations. Egbuka could quickly become a key target in that offense. Let's dive right into a surprising wide receiver option for the Raiders, emeka from Ohio State. He might not have elite speed, but don't let that fool you. He's an incredibly fast player on the field and excels at everything else. Think of him as a younger version of Jacoby Myers, not as physically dominant but just as reliable and capable of doing his job at a high level. The Raiders have been searching for a true wide receiver one, and while taking Egbuka at number 6 would be a bit early, there's a connection here that could make it happen. Some have fallen out of love with Tadoa McMillan, and there's even buzz about Matthew Golden as a potential top receiver. But what stands out about Egbuka is his connection with Chip Kelly, the Raiders' offensive coordinator. This connection could give him an edge, especially after the Raiders met with him at the Combine. Now, I'm not saying the Raiders will pick Egbuka at number 6, but if he's their top receiver on the board, don't be surprised if they make a move to trade back into the first round, possibly around the 19 to 20 range, to grab him before a wide receiver run. With the Raiders' strong ties to Chip Kelly, this could be a pick that surprises many, but one that might make perfect sense for the future of the team. Let's talk about Tyler Warren, a player who could truly surprise at pick number 6. This guy is an absolute beast, big, athletic, and elite. When you think of the top prospects in this draft, Warren absolutely belongs in that conversation. What I love most about him? The swagger. Just like Max Crosby walks onto the field knowing he's the best, Tyler Warren does the same every time he plays. He's the kind of player who excels in any role you give him. Whether it's catching 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, running the ball to get first downs, or even blocking, Warren does it all. He even ran the Wildcat offense for Penn State. He's that versatile. It's like how Georgia used Brock Bowers, moving him around the field to maximize his impact. Good coaches find ways to get the ball in the hands of players like this, and that's why Warren could be a perfect fit for the Raiders. Now, picking Warren at number 6 would be bold, but if the Raiders are looking to go with the best player available, he could be exactly that. There are scouts who rank him among the top tier of players in this draft. Sure, the running back market is deep, but if the Raiders opt to pass on other positions and take Warren, they'd be adding one of the most dynamic players available. Paired with Michael Mayer or another tight end, Warren could form one of the most dangerous tight end duos in the league, setting the Raiders up for years of success.